Ibitunde Balogun. He's an executive director of a company called Tangerine Life Insurance. Before he joined Tangerine Life Insurance, he was head of strategy, research, and projects at a company called Allianz. Allianz is an international company, or rather a multinational company. Before then, he worked in a company called Equity Assurance PLC, which is now known as Sunu. So pretty much all his life, he has been in insurance. Before then, he did youth corps in KPMG. And in those days, KPMG would give you full employment, not just NYSC employment. And at the end of his year there, he decided he didn't want to stay there. He's also a non-executive director of managed healthcare services. And he says he has attended many international training. He is a very, how should I put it, restless young man is what I would describe him as. And he does not like weekends because he wants to get back to work. So without much ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Ibitunde Balogun, Executive Director of Tangerine Life. Ibitunde, good morning.
Morning.
Okay, Ibitunde's style, he doesn't want to give a presentation. He wants it to be like an interview. So we had discussed some of the questions. You can see he's restless. He says, what am I talking about? I should just let him answer these questions. Okay, so why are people not finding their dream jobs?
Okay, so I personally think people are not finding their dream jobs because, I don't know, I just want to check if everyone can hear me properly.
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, so I think people are not finding their dream jobs because there's a gap. Because we keep saying that people are looking for jobs. And I also hear employers saying that they are looking for people. So I think there's a gap. And so for instance, my organization, we're looking to recruit 30 or 40 people over the next 3 months. And we are having challenges finding those people. And there are so many people. So I think people are not finding their dream jobs because there's a gap that needs to be filled. So there's a skills gap that I think exists, whereby you might think that, my dream job is in finance or to be an investment bank or to be in HR. But then the HR firms, the investment banks, the finance firms, especially with what is going on with COVID now, we're about to recruit 3 people from Sweden, right? Technical people, technology people. And that is because today you can work from anywhere. You can work from anywhere. And the kind of skills that are required for the job that we're trying to fill, we're finding it difficult to fill, to get those skills locally. So people are able to work from wherever they are. And it's like, we're working together. So that makes it even more difficult for the people who are local to actually then land their dream job. So if your dream job was to be in technology, maybe to be a front-end designer or a back-end designer, and you did not have the skills comparable to other people or even people abroad that can connect with companies so easily, it will be difficult for you to find, employment. So I think that gap, that skills gap, is the major reason why people are not finding their dream jobs.
So how do we bridge the skills gap? How do we bridge the skills gap?
So you need to upskill. You need to upskill. In today's world, there are so many even free tools. So people think that to upskill, you need to go and enroll in some course, or you need to go and go to some school and pay some huge amount of money. But there's a company called Khan Academy, and on Khan Academy they have basically courses for everything, and it's totally free. You can actually go there and take a course on product design, right? And you get the rudiments of product design. So if you want to become a designer, or if you have passion in designing products, you can then have the rudimentary skills. So even in an interview, you are able to answer the questions correctly. You're able to show that you understand what it takes. So even in the interview process, you don't even need to actually fulfill every single thing or show that you know everything. But you need to understand that you know what is being talked about. You have some people today who don't know anything about a certain topic. They just see a job and they just send their CV. And in my organization, we just recruited a head of HR, and she has come and instituted something whereby she says that if we want to fill a role, we do a JD, and we actually send that JD to the potential candidates. So we get CVs, we look at the CVs, we send that JD to the potential candidate, and we tell them, look at this JD, understand the JD. These are the requirements of the job. Tell us from your experience or from what you are doing, why you think that we should then call you for an interview. So we're not even trying to even start to interview you because you don't even know what the job entails. So you see HR manager or you see software manager and you just send your CV, right? When it might actually be something that you have no clue about. So I think the upskilling, it's actually the responsibility of that individual. There's a process of, first of all, identifying what is it that I want to be doing, and then identifying what skills do I need. I can see Mr. Kunle Awolowo on this call, and I know he's a photographer. I can't just wake up tomorrow and just go and buy a camera and just start saying, oh, yes, if that's a passion project, yes. But if I want to do it as a job, the first thing I should do is to go online, find out, okay, what does it take to be a photographer? What are the kind of skills that I need to be a photographer? What courses are available to be a photographer? But I see many times people just see an opportunity, or someone is making cakes. They just go into their kitchen and they start baking, and they say, oh, they now put on their status, WhatsApp status. Okay, come and order cake. But is it tasty? Have you researched to understand what it takes to actually then be a baker? So I think it's in your own hands determining what you need to do to upskill yourself. So it takes a lot of diligence and research to understand that, okay, I need to identify what skills I need to fulfill the need in an organization. So I think that is it. So for me, the courses, because that's really how you get your skills. You have to go and enroll in some, you have to also pay for some of these courses. Although, you might get free resources, yes, but if you want to go deeper, or if you want to apply it to the local content, you have to then go and localize some of those courses. So you might go on Khan Academy and they're talking from the global perspective, Western world, but some of those things might not actually apply to the Nigerian setting. So you have to find some Nigerian institutions who, have experience, local experience, and have curated some of these courses. And then you have to actually then go and enroll in these courses to get the skills that are required.
Yeah, and it's good to attend, days like this where you're going to have different people speaking about different things that could sort of enlighten you. What are employers looking for? So you've talked about interview stage, and when you employ somebody who's passed, what are you really looking for in that person?
Okay, so I think it's changing over time. It's changing over time, and right now, more people are looking for creativity and innovation because of how quickly the world is evolving, because of how quickly everything is happening. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, things were kind of like set, in the way of things, and there was a process to things. But right now, with everything that is going on, so things are so dynamic. So they need people who can adapt. They need people who are doing different things. Current normal, as you put it, of working from home. A lot of people struggle, because they could not broaden their minds that, they could ever envisage a time where you cannot go into the office and you attend meetings online. But people that are innovative, are creative, or people who have been exposed to this type of arrangements, they did not have the learning curve was not as steep for others. So organizations are increasingly looking for people who are nimble, who are innovative, who can adapt to technology, who can be first movers, and can basically see a situation and quickly be able to adapt to that situation. Because the truth of the matter is that nobody is going to wait for you. Nobody is going to wait for you. And more innovation is going to increasingly reduce the number of jobs available. So for instance, in my organization now, we found that about 17 jobs are not necessary, because in the past 2 months, these people have not been in the office and nothing has changed. We basically automated what they used to do.
Oh, wow.
So now those people are unfortunately going to have to be let go or put into other different units. But that is the whole thing we're talking about being adaptable, being nimble, being innovative, being creative. That you as working in that role should have realized that, this my role actually is not that necessary. If something should happen, I might be out of a job. So I then need to see, what can I do? What other thing can I do? How can I adapt? Can I start to upskill myself in something else? Can I start to do this in something else? So we had a guy who in HR, his job was just to manage all people's files.
Yeah.
And manage the onboarding process, all the documents that they needed to provide, to do all the managing of the file, the queries and all that. But now all our onboarding process, everything is digital. You upload all your documents. You don't bring in any documents. We don't see you. So we've onboarded people. In fact, our current head of HR is stuck in the US. So she was working in a company in the US, and she's stuck there, but she's been onboarded. She's started work for the past few weeks, and she's not even around. So that person should have started to think, what can I do? How can I adapt? What value can I create in other areas, so that people would then see your value and not make you redundant? So that's what employers are looking for.
Yeah. I was at some kind of conference at the end of last year. This was even before all of this. And they were saying there that the jobs people are going to be doing in 5 years, in 10 years, have not even been created. So if you go to you and you think what you learned in school is it, then you are in for a big shock. If you do not learn to be light on your feet, then you are in for a big shock, because everything is changing at the speed of thought. Okay,
Correct.
so value creation or money making, which is more important?
I think value creation is more important. I think money always follows value, and a lot of people, especially younger people, they get it mixed up. And they are always trying to see, oh, I need to make money. So they're driven not to create value, but just to make income. And they believe, oh, if I have income, I can then now create value. But it's actually the opposite way around. I think when you identify a need and you seek to create value to solve that need, automatically, if you're solving a need, there's going to be some rewards for that. So you get the income once you have created the value. So value creation is extremely important. I think it's more important than money making, because when you create value, solving a need, solving a problem, then the money is then now going to then flow in from that value creation.
Okay, so how do I then, how do I know what I should do? Okay, I'm wearing the hat now of somebody who says, you know what, I can't even do 9 to 5, I can't get a job. Okay, so I want to set up something. How do I know what to zero in on? Like I said, do I look on Instagram and see what everybody else is doing and get into that? Or how do I go about it?
Okay, so I think there are a couple of things that you need to do to zero in into what you should be doing. My own opinion is that you basically have to identify your passions, because I think that's just always the easiest way. It also depends on if you are the breadwinner or not. If you are the breadwinner, sometimes you don't have that luxury of identifying your passion and aligning what you're doing to that. You just have to make money. So you can only start to gradually get into the place where you have created enough income for you to then now delve into your passion. But if you are not the breadwinner and you have that luxury, I think you need to identify your passion. What are the things that I'm passionate about? And then identify, how can I create value from this passion? Considering your environment. You have to consider your environment. So I'll give the example of, a sumo wrestler, a swimmer, and a keyboardist, right? If you had the passion for those three things and you are good at it, maybe you just had an interest and you are looking, okay, how do I monetize? Sumo wrestling is not that popular in Nigeria. Not many people are going to pay you to be a sumo wrestler here. So yes, it's your passion, but it would be silly to say, look, I want to make that a career, because you might struggle with, getting that a solution to solve or a problem to solve. Same thing with swimming. You might swim, you might decide that, okay, let me be a swim instructor, but how many people are swimming? It really depends. I think you then need to identify within the environment that I am operating, what is the best thing that I can monetize, right? What is the best thing that I can monetize and that I have the skills to do? I have the skills to do. Because again, like you mentioned, people go on Instagram and they see people doing different things. They see people designing clothes and selling their clothes 50,000, 80,000, 100,000. And the next thing that you see, they say they are a designer. But do you have the skills for it? Have you gone and researched the organizational structure that they are running? Have you gone to understand the business model? So I think deciding what you are going to do starts with research of your environment, research of yourself in terms of knowing what skills that you have, what are your passions, what are your aspirations, what are your dreams. Once you have identified that, you can then now go into the place of saying, I have this passion, I have this skill, I've identified a problem to solve in this environment. So all those things are aligned. I'm going to launch a product. I'm going to release a product. So I think that is a way that you can determine and identify what you want to do.
Well, I think also part of it is a meeting like this, which is why we're saying inertia. Sometimes we can be paralyzed and we just need someone to give us a push, and I think that's where coaching and mentoring comes in, because there are things you can do that even it's so easy for you, you don't even realize that, this is something that that you can do. Let me just go to, if I've been working, you've mentioned it, that if you're not the breadwinner and all of that, you can, you can decide which way you are going to go and how you are going to go, right? But just tell me, this is why I've come here. You've told me all these things. On Monday morning, what should I do? What should I do on Monday morning when I wake up? I've heard all this long story. I've heard this before.
Are you the breadwinner? Because if you are, you should go to work.
So are you telling me that if I'm the breadwinner, I'm stuck? Let's take the breadwinner.
You are stuck because you cannot make a rash decision. So it has to be a gradual process for you, right? If you are the breadwinner, because you can decide that, okay, on Monday morning, my passion is singing. So I'm working in this bank, they are stressing me out. I'm going there on Monday and I'm telling them I don't want anymore. And your children might be hungry because your singing career needs to be incubated, there's a process for that. So I think whether you're a breadwinner or not, on Monday morning, you have to start to go through that process of identifying, I will call it your oil. And what that means is, where does your passion intersect with a need and intersect with your skills?
Okay.
So you have to have the skill to do what you want to do. There has to be a need for that thing, and you have to be passionate. Well, the best situation is that you are passionate about it. That is always the sweet spot. But there are people who are in a place where they're not passionate about something, but they are fulfilling a need, and they have the skills. There are people who are passionate about things and they are fulfilling a need, but they don't have the skills. So they will struggle, in creating optimum value. There are people that have the skills, they don't have the passion, but there's a need, and they are just doing it. They might not be, like I say, you are a breadwinner, you have the skills to be an accountant. You go in every day because your company needs an accountant and you're earning money. So I think the best situation to be in is when those three intersect. So for me, what I would do is so for me, I think that I'm in that space because I'm passionate about finance, right? Financial inclusion, creating financial products. And that has always been my dream. And I'm in insurance, I'm running a digital insurance company that has interest in going into banking, digital banking, to going into asset management. And I believe I have the skills because I've been upskilling myself over time. I did management economics in university. I've done my chartered insurance qualification. I've gone for a lot of courses. I've upskilled myself, and there is a need in Nigeria for that because the penetration is very low. Insurance penetration, even financial inclusion, is very low. There is a need. So I believe that I'm in that space. So there was a time where the passion was there, the skill was not there, the need was there. And I had to upskill myself to put myself in the best position to be able to create optimum value And that is why my employers also feel that, oh, I'm valuable to the organization because they've seen those skills. And that took diligence of staying it and waiting it out over a period. So there's no microwave answer of Monday morning, what do? I get in there and then, no, it might take 5 years. It might take a period of time. But on Monday morning, what you can do is to start to move in the right direction, which is what is in need? What skills do I have? And what is my passion? You know, when all those things are aligned, you can start to identify. So you can, as a breadwinner, realize that the best place to be is to always know what situation you are in. So you might say, you know what, this thing that I'm doing every day, I have no passion for it. But I am doing it because of X, Y, Z. And this is the journey. This is the timeline. I can plan to save. I can plan to start a side hustle. There's nothing wrong with a side hustle. I can start to put things, you know, in place for that, my passion, you know. So that is what I think on Monday morning we can do.
Tell us, how did you decide on insurance?
Okay, so I actually stumbled on insurance. You know, my father was in insurance, my grandfather was in insurance. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, a business owner. You know, that has always been my dream. And you know, I after I worked at KPMG, I knew that I couldn't work in a 9-to-5 type of setting. So I did try to start one or two other businesses.
You thought you couldn't work in a 9-to-5 setting?
Well, in the context of KPMG and how it was structured, yes, I thought so. So for me, after that, I started one or two businesses, and you know, it was a struggle because I didn't have the skills to run those businesses. You know, I had some other things, but I didn't have the right skills. So I then decided that I would go into the insurance company that my dad started. So it was a 9-to-5, but for me, I saw it also as an entrepreneurial, you know, journey, because I felt like, okay, you know, there was some ownership in the family, and you know, we could run this. So I was driven, a lot more driven than the regular employee, because of that ownership and that entrepreneurship that I saw. You know, I did that for quite a while, you know, and you know, that was where I started to learn and understand the insurance industry, and to understand the need. So that was where I got that passion or that drive that, look, I want to create financial services products that would help bridge the gap. That was the place that I got it. So when I was then working there, I was working in the business, and it was like a family business. So I felt like, look, I needed to upskill myself a bit more. So I needed to get experience from a bigger, you know, multinational, international organization. And at the time, Allianz was just coming into Nigeria. So this was a company that is, you know, hundreds of years old, you know, operating in over 190 countries, you know, making, you know, millions of pounds every year as revenue and profits. So there were skills that I felt that I needed to get working in that type of organization. So I decided to go what I call on a training course. So for me, that process of joining Allianz was like a training of saying, look, okay, I have the local knowledge of insurance. You know, I've worked in an insurance company for about 6-7 years. I understand everything locally. I then wanted to get that international knowledge of this. So I then joined Allianz, and coincidentally, I was then heading strategy, which was basically the bridge between Germany, Casablanca. Germany is the head office, Casablanca was the regional Africa office, and the local entity, Nigeria. So I was the bridge. So I was in charge of transferring all the knowledge from Casablanca, Morocco, and Germany to the local Nigerian entity. So all these processes, all the culture, everything, I was that link. So what that did for me was that it exposed me to what the best practice, as it were, in an international organization. So I did that, and I was doing that. An entrepreneurial opportunity came. So my plan was, okay, do that, cut your teeth, learn, because for me, the goal was always, I wanted to run a financial services entity, but there were stages to it. Thinking back now, it was stages, but I didn't necessarily think through these stages like I've thought through now, but it just fell into place of, okay, getting that experience. Based on that experience, there was now an entrepreneurial opportunity that came up with private equity who wanted to come into the insurance space and needed somebody who could bridge the gap between understanding the industry and understanding technology and understanding the future market, which is basically millennials and Gen Z and Gen Y. So I was then positioned to be able to then now drive that institution from the perspective of entrepreneurship, but also in a 9-to-5 setting. So that is then how I found myself in this space where I'm able to drive the organization, right, and create that value that I had been learning all the years. So a lot of people, when they see and what we are doing today, they think, oh, we just started today, but this is 10 years in the making of, doing, working in the local insurance company, getting the skills, upskilling myself, getting chartered, then getting the international feel to it, and then now being able to create a totally new, different insurance company. It's like a 10-year journey.
What mistakes have you made in your journey?
Okay, so I've made quite a lot of mistakes. I think one of them would be in terms of I didn't focus on skills very, very early on. I should have actually been more focused on upskilling myself early on, because what that would have done for me is that would have put me in a position to just skyrocket. Yeah. So that is something that I should have done. Another thing that I think that I should have done is that I should have learned French. I think that's a huge mistake, because the way the world is going, right, the international nature of the world, right, speaking English alone is not going to cut it. So that's another thing that people need to realize, that there are many times in my old company in Allianz where we will go for a meeting in maybe Abidjan, and there are probably 2 English speakers and there are like 40 Francophone, French-speaking people. So what we don't realize is that in West Africa, there are only like 2 or 3 English-speaking countries, where actually majority of all the countries in West Africa, which is the trading bloc that we deal with, because most companies in Nigeria that are big want to go across at least that West African pain. Having French, just makes that process easier, because in Abidjan, in Cameroon, in Togo, in Benin Republic, all the countries apart from Ghana and Liberia around us, they speak French. So I think that's another mistake, and it's still part of the skills that I'm talking about, but this is more language skills. So I think, yes, the delay in those skills and that positioning of myself I think is the most glaring mistake I made, because you are as valuable as the skills that you have, and that is really the bane of people not being able to get employment. That is really the crux of the matter, because if you are unhireable based on the fact that you don't have the skills that are needed for the organization, because things are so competitive now. Like I said, we are hiring people from Sweden, and it's going to get worse with COVID, because there's going to be work from home. I know somebody who is in Port Harcourt who works for a company in Canada, and he's been working for that company for 4 years. He's never met any of them there. He's never been to Canada, nothing. He's been working, earning good money from his house in Port Harcourt with his laptop and his internet connection. And that is what he has been doing, So it's because he has the skills, and it's probably even cheaper for them to pay him in Nigeria than to bring him over to Canada or to pay somebody in Canada. So, that's the way the world is going. So I think, the major things that I'll say is really the skills that I should have gathered or taken early on that I didn't think were so important would be some of the things that I say that I didn't do well.
I'm excited because, I have my youngest child speaks French fluently, speaks Spanish, has a bit of Russian, and it is all almost like a mistake. I wish I had done that with all the other children as well. Anyway, no problems. And like you said, you're hiring people from Sweden. They speak English, and English is not their first language. So they've made that effort also to learn a second language, So this is something that we all need to be doing. I don't know if anybody in the audience have a question, right? Because we've now gotten into question and answer time from the participants. But I'll ask you one last thing. How do you balance work and life? You have a family, wife, child. How do you balance that with, trying to upskill, trying to work, trying to market? How do you balance that?
I think it's all about priorities. I think it's all about priorities. A lot of people have more time for Netflix than they have to do a course. So I think there's actually more than enough time considering all the other things that we do. So when I say considering all the other things we do, we go to weddings on Saturday, there'll be no weddings, but the whole day, we watch TV, we play, you need to turn your car or your commute, right, when we start going out, into a digital university, which is all these your content, right? You can engage with this content on your way to work. You can engage with this content in your car, any downtime that you have. So what I've just done is just to prioritize what are the things that are important for me, right? My family is important. My faith is important. My job is important. Upskilling and staying relevant is important. So I just prioritize, the times that I spend with my family, prioritize. So what suffers is typically the small social activities. So I'm not a very social person. If you invite me for your birthday, I probably will stay 30 minutes or an hour, If you invite me for your wedding, depending on how close we are, I'll come for the 4 or 5 hours of just not. I just feel there are other things. So I think, in a nutshell, prioritize the things that are important to you.
Okay, please, can you just type? Oro has his hand up. He can ask the question, but if anybody else has a question, please, can you just type it so that I'll read out the question. But Godwin Isoro, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. So my question to Ibitunde is, what opportunities does it give to mentorship? What opportunity? Because I'm in the insurance sector, and the insurance sector, I work in Cornerstone, and I have seen the insurance sector is actually run by old people, basically, and they lack a lot of innovation. And I'm wondering, why would I get good mentors? Because that's one of the to-do lists. How will I get good mentors? No mentors. The people that are there probably, they don't have the new knowledge, basically. So I'm seeing Tunde and I'm like, wow, so there's someone like that. Oh, cool. And I'm wondering what opportunities are there for mentorship.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, so do you mean personally for me, what opportunities I gave, or just generally
the opportunities you gave?
That I give? So for me,
Yeah.
I'm open to always interacting with people. For me, like I said, it's about prioritizing as well. So there was a time I had a mentee who wanted to spend like 2 hours on the phone like every other day, and obviously I didn't have that time. So for me, I'm always open to mentoring and just engaging with people, because for me, I also learn a lot from that. But it's also about how we're able to structure the time and prioritize the time. So yeah, you can reach out to me and we can have a chat.
So you reach out a question here that says, what has always been the driving force for you, right? And what are the critical elements for a successful person? What are the ingredients? I think you've been talking a lot about that, but it's like, what is driving you? What is driving you, and what are the critical, elements?
Okay, so what is driving me personally is just, I have a hunger to create value. I think there are just a lot of things that are not done in the proper way. Like Godwin, alluded to, in the insurance industry, for instance, it's filled with a lot of people with old ideas who are really not willing to change and who have stifled the growth. And it's the same thing we can even say about the Nigerian government, where we have leaders who are not moving with the times, who are not willing to, pass it on to the next generation to create that value. But the truth of the matter is that nobody is going to pass anything on to you, right? You have to basically go and take it. And so that is part of what drives me, that hunger to create value and to create solutions to all the problems that we see. So that is it. The critical element for me, I think, I will put skills up there. And when I talk about skills, so I think attitude is a skill as well, because your attitude also basically determines your if you would succeed or not. So there are some people who have bad and nasty attitudes that can't get along with anybody and can't work with anybody. So you might have all the skills, technical skills, but if you have that bad attitude and you cannot interact with people, because business and creating value is really all about relationship management. If you cannot do that as well, you will struggle. So for me, skills which I have included attitude in is critical. I think, hard work is also very critical. You have to prioritize doing this work. All these things we're talking about, gaining skills and all that, they are not easy things to do. Most people would rather sit on the couch and watch TV and eat ice cream. But knowing that you have to do certain things, knowing delayed gratification, knowing that, look, I have to spend the time today, upskilling myself, because when I was doing all the courses I was doing, it was very grueling. For the insurance, I had like 15 papers to do. And there are times when my friends will be going out and things are happening and I have to sit back to study. And it's like, but now, I'm then reaping the benefits. So delayed gratification is another key ingredient. You have to be able to prioritize. You have to be able to say, look, right now, I need to do this. I need to, put in the work, put in the time, because in the future, I will then now reap the benefits. So yeah, I think, all the other ones that people say, integrity, humility, for me, those are cliches, and those are things that should just be, for me, they are the norm. They are the easy ones that everybody can have. But the more difficult things of building up yourself, of getting discipline, of prioritizing, are the things that can differentiate somebody from another person. I don't know. I hope that answers that question.
Okay. Are there any more questions? I don't see any more questions. I've been getting comments that this has been a good session. We're going to round it up in a minute. Is there anything else you want to say that hasn't been part of what we have asked you? Is there anything else you want to say? What advice would you give somebody? Because I know there's some mothers online. What would you advise them to be helping their children with? You know, some people are too old to be doing all these things you're saying, but what would you advise them to help their children with?
No, nobody is too old.
Okay.
Nobody is too old. I think everybody can still learn a new skill. Everybody, even if you're 80. You know, I was reading about a lady, a 75-year-old lady who just got a diploma in something she has always wanted to do. So yeah, it's more difficult. It's more difficult as you grow older, you know. But you know, for instance, I'm doing French lessons because I still want to get that French, and my daughter too is going to start doing French, so she will probably learn it a lot easier than I would. So I think for me, what I would encourage mothers or fathers to do for their offspring would be basically to encourage them to find their passion, find that thing that they want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, that would and be open to that. If it's music, be open to it. I know some mothers who are upset that their sons want to be musicians or want to do fashion, or you know, be open to allowing them find that thing that they want to do, because the truth of the matter is the way the world is going, all these things, creativity is taking over from all the doctor, lawyers, and you know, people are doing all sorts of things, and you know, they're still being able to create value and still being able to, you know, make good income. So I think they should be more open to accepting what they want to do, and they should encourage them in that thing that they are doing. They should encourage them in that process. You know, they should encourage them in basically gaining the skills, because some of these people, you know, they need to go to get skills to hone some of that talent. So I have a friend who was a very good singer, right? But her dad wanted her to be a lawyer, and she wanted to sing, you know, and he refused to pay for the singing school that, you know, that she wanted to do. And what she did is that she went to the law school, you know, worked for a bit, was then able to save some money, and then went to that singing school, and then has a very good career now. But she wasted like 7 years. Yeah. Because if the father could just have said, oh, you have this talent, let me encourage you, her career would have kicked off a lot earlier, instead of having to do the law degree and then, you know, come back.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, God will help the parents, because everybody just feels that from where we are coming from, you just needed a university degree before you started doing anything. But clearly these days, more and more, we're seeing that maybe you don't, you know. And then, anyway, there are all kinds of university degrees now. Gone are the days. I mean, my poor father will probably turn in his grave. Gone are the days of lawyer, doctor, teacher, nurse. Okay, so there are two questions here. Now, one of the questions is asking, when is it time to resign? We'll reserve that question for a BMA who's coming after. Okay, she's a career consultant. But there's one last question, because it's almost time. It says, how do we break the barrier for enlightenment and awareness with respect to insurance in Nigeria, right? What's your take on how it should be tackled? You know?
So that one is a topic on its own. But I think for me, what we are doing is basically little bits of education. So I think it's an education problem. It's an information problem, right? People need to understand that the value of insurance. People need to understand the use of insurance. People need to understand that insurance companies do pay, and they're not going to take your money and run. So it's a multifaceted problem. The awareness and the enlightenment, the ideas of insurance have come from many years of insurance companies treating the customers badly. So it's not going to be automatic. People have lost trust. So you have to first of all build that trust by building a company who is actually then paying claims when they are due, and then also then educating, the company, the populace about insurance. So my company now have done something called Adventures of Titi. It's a series, whereby there's a lady called Titi who is trying to break down insurance and, make people understand. So that is our own way to basically getting that message out there. But it's a multifaceted problem. It also has to do with the government as well, enforcement, police taking bribes. And so it's a multifaceted problem. But I think each person in that space can just do their own bits to basically enlighten people and, explain to them how, insurance can be of value. And it's something that we are ready and willing and we're doing.
I mean, for instance, in the UK, that's why I chipped in policy when you were talking. In the UK, everything is linked on a database. So your MOT, your insurance, your road tax, everything is linked. And even if your car is not on the road and you are in that system for any reason, they're going to hound you. You have to pay insurance, even if the car is parked on blocks, So policy it plays a very major role. There's another question here, but I think I will leave that question for the career counselor to ask, because I just want us to move on. Well, Ibitunde, thank you very much. It's been good having you online. From what you said, what my own take is skills. Being in HR, a lot of people complain, oh, my company is not sending me on training. Now that responsibility is yours. That responsibility is yours. You can't wait for any company to be sending you on training. It's good if they do, but if they do not, it is your own loss. You've put in there, you talked about attitude. And in HR again, we usually say we hire for skills and we fire for attitude. You can always learn skills. We can always teach anybody skills. But if you have a bad attitude, you're not going to go far. Even if somehow, your father owns the company and you get to the top, you will not run it well. You have to have a good attitude. Then you talked about priorities. And you said, look, everything is your priority. If your priority is, being at 4 weddings every Saturday, then so be it. But I always love to tell a story. One of my best friends is an event planner. And when we were younger, she liked to go to these events. But she probably didn't realize it then. She was going with an eye to planning these events eventually. And, after a few years working in a bank as company secretary, this is a woman who went to Cambridge and got a master's in law in Cambridge. She left it all and went into the event planning industry. What am I saying? Prioritize where it is you want to go. So she may not have been able to articulate it at that time, but events were important to her. I couldn't cope with that because that was not my own focus. Do you understand? So yes. Nobody's saying don't go to 4 weddings on a Saturday. It depends on why you are going. If you are just going to go and eat puff puff, then there's a problem. This period has shown us that if you don't go to that wedding, you'll be all right. Okay? So priorities, what is important? And our priorities change clearly because, when you are young, this is a priority. When you are older, so if when you are 25, you need to be working full-time, doing an MBA full-time, doing this, doing that, then knuckle down and do it. It's only for a season, but it's important to know, what it is your priorities are. And, with the priority thing comes discipline, because you have to be disciplined. People are going to be doing things that you would rather go and do. I mean, I'll use myself for an example, because I'm in the wellness space as well. There's some things I don't eat. It's not because I don't want to eat them. It's because I know what it will do to me. So when people say, oh, you're lucky, you're slim, there's nothing like luck. You know, it's working hard and being disciplined. Well, I'm getting comments left, right, and center on my phone, on the thing. Oh, fantastic session. It's really been good. And, you know, thank you very much for coming, right?
Thank you very much for having me.
Hopefully, we'll be able to put you down as one of our mentors, because talks that break inertia, clearly, if we say that we want to help people move forward, we're going to have to start a mentorship program. There are a lot of mentorship programs around, and this one will just be added to it. Thank you so much, Ibitunde, for spending this time with us, and God bless you. Yeah?
Thank you very much.
Okay, we hope you stick around, don't run off. So